Hey team, how we going? It is Kaz and Lauren, and we're here for something interesting tonight. This is not actually the launch yet. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes while we ask Adam versus. He's been thinking of something funny. Drunk Aussie is in captivity still, I believe, at the moment. I don't know how he's getting to talk on his phone, but great to have you here. Hope you've been drinking the Kool-Aid. We've got Joshy, who can't wait. We've got Simon Powell, a little bit sensitive tonight with the Air Force banter.
He's not feeling very well, he said.
Yeah, and that's to be understood, you know.
Yep.
We've got Dave Benson in Nam, Robbie Kent, okay, who is learning how to use his hand again after a horrible industrial accident. All the best out to you. Daz might not be here. A bull that was his best friend since he was 14 years old just passed away. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but it was a family pet for over 14 years, so it's a big bloody deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Drunk Aussie is in Gallipoli platoon. That's where it all starts. Ryan Ward, great to have you here. I've been in wards before. Red Man 9, Slappy Skin. Guardian 27. Waiting for holidays. I bet you are there, Drunk Aussie. I can't wait to have a conversation with you soon. See what your stories are up to now, what your funniest things and what the fails are that you couldn't talk about loudly over the phone, but what I'll laugh like hell at when we have a convo. We've got the Tank Killer here, anti-armour right up. Turbo Fisto. Fisto sounds like a porn that I wouldn't watch. Levers, Lauren. Hey, Ryan, Saving Private. Oliver Twist, please, sir, can I have some more? And we've got Nads. Hey, Kaz, in the process to get to Kapuka, I mean, like to be enlisted after you've done your medical. Mate, no one knows because it's all dependent on the time of the year you're joining. It also comes down to whether you have any dramas or not. But you should be 6 weeks. Sup all welcome visitors. Make sure you subscribe right now. We're about to go live in 3, 2, 1. Gotcha. Okay. As we can see here, before we commence, we're going to be talking tonight about a subject. Take it off, Lois Lane, the glasses, that is. We're going to be talking about operations, the step-by-step situations that occur without giving any secrets away, but not that it matters because we're not going anywhere at the moment. Let's flip over to Lauren for a second. She says g'day. And we've got...
Hello.
Do you want to say g'day to Daz, who's literally now a carnivore because his favourite cow has got its 4 legs pointed at the sky, sadly.
Cows are beautiful creatures.
I agree.
They really are beautiful creatures. I actually want to point out your background is really great.
It is nice.
I love how the trees are like mirrored. It almost looks like there's a vortex in that forest. I love it.
The paradox is my favourite word. For those that don't know, I discover a word a year, so get used to it.
That's not true. I bet this is going to be a subject that a lot of folk are going to be interested in.
Excellent. And I think they will, because there is a clarity to the message today that will allow them to go, oh, that's what happens. Oh, you don't get to volunteer. You don't get to say no. You don't get to say I've got a wedding or I've got a child being born.
Yeah.
You may have that option, but you don't get the option to opt out. Nicole King, hey Daz. The cows are well, and of course, we're going to replace that cow with some babies to get him over any hurt that he may have.
Yep.
Jack Boys. I'm a butcher. I cut up cows. Better than people.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Jackie, Jackie, the industry that I can understand in abattoir, I get it. But the one that I find sinister, scary, macabre, is the journeyman slaughterman. The people that turn up to your house with the charnel van, basically, and bring a cow up there and do it all on the spot inside a van. That's like a serial killer, dude.
Well, but for critters.
But imagine what else you could do. Get rid of the mother-in-law.
It's true, but there's a million ways to get rid of folk, isn't there?
There is. Yeah. And we're finding that out with little Tyrrell, the poor little boy. Let him rest in peace.
Yes, indeed.
And if we're going to do a call out today, can we also do a call out to the poor innocent souls that today were doing a Christmas march in the USA and had a had someone drive through the crowd, and there's
Yep.
multiple fatalities. It is horrific. It is sad. It's disgusting.
Awful. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do not endorse it. Hey, we've got Nadzel there is throwing 4,000 viewers worth of sesterces at us, so I'm going to have to hit my hand. Not too cow. And some better news to cheer us up is there's probably a beautiful woman somewhere in the world who would love to swipe right to Kaz, but probably speaks a different language and may be addicted to more than one thing. Chances are.
Indeed.
Where are you going with that, Kaz? She says. Nicole King, now the best way to slaughter your animals, as you know, it's done humanely. Well, that's true too.
Yeah, it is. Not nice. You know, I would eat lab grown meat if we could get it right.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's far away. Guys and gals, just a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Will you eat cultivated meat from a laboratory? Let us know in the chat right now if they could make it taste as good as the actual bovine herself.
Yeah, I would.
Right, so Lauren,
Yes.
being the former spouse of a military member who's gone overseas,
Yep.
we're going to be talking tonight about the step-by-step of what occurs, how we end up overseas, where we end up from Townsville, from Brisbane, from Darwin, from Adelaide, and then ultimately end up on an operational tempo if there's more than one trip, and the steps that happen as a deliberate action to take Australians as volunteers to join the military, not to deploy, and then let them go overseas and take their chance with fate.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult for everybody. You know, deployments, there's ups and downs, I suppose, for everybody, but it requires a lot of balance even on the home front.
Look, it does. And there is no winners in this because familiarity breeds contempt, but so does absence.
Yeah, it really does. And it's difficult because, you know, there might be times when you're not talking to your partner very often, or, you know, where they can't tell you things, or you may have already had issues like trust issues and things like that. And the truth is, if your partner is deployed, the last thing they need is any more stress put on them from home.
It is true. And the problem is with operations too, they don't always happen at the start of the year when you've come off 6 weeks holidays, when you're refreshed, you've still got a beach tan. It normally happens 3/4 of the way through the year when everyone's goddamn fatigued, you know, and then you're about to go away for an forecast operation where you don't know how long you're going for at all. Open-ended. I've done that. Before we go into this and I start putting the headings up, I went into the Reddit forum today, and my God, it hurt my head.
Did it?
To hear and to see the conversations, the ignorance,
Yeah.
or even some of the military people that were not of a pay grade to be able to understand what they were talking about and were typing on something and being dragged into arguments through emotion, not through fact.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
just
hard.
glad you were on Reddit.
I had my glasses on. Vulcan. Oh, okay. So no one wanted the factory meat. Don't go to Burger King then.
Yeah.
Right. Let's have a look at the first one. Okay, so let's put it as everyone in chat is part of the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment, and you're sitting on leave at the moment. Okay, we'll say it's about January the 3rd. So you've already broken all of your New Year's resolutions already. You know,
You've eaten too much Christmas pud.
Yeah, Jay has got Lego stuck in his foot that I put there.
Yeah,
you know,
everyone's had a bit too much fun. They're going to have to pay it back.
Yeah.
So as we are the 2nd Battalion, are we online or not?
No, we're not online. The 1st Battalion was online. If you're an online battalion, that means you don't go home for Christmas. If you're part of that task force, they used to call it the ODF, the Operational Deployment Force. which stays back, does guard mounts, trains, and it's there in case glass smashes and we need you on the ground now, similar to Marines in the...
So everyone's out having fun over Christmas.
Yeah, that's it. And we'll say, who is it? Daz, at the moment, is also itchy between the legs. And she said, because you're worth it.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so the first thing that happens, you sit at home, you're watching the TV, you've got roughly 14 days to go before you have to be back in Townsville. You know, you've driven your car, you took a trailer to get extra money for that trip, and we've just hit static already. Bam. Trouble erupts on TV. You're not going to hear about it before you see it on TV because no one cares about something that does not get the attention. If the tree falls down in the forest and no one hears it, no one cares. So, except termites. The trouble erupts on BCNN. It's a bit of a side joke here, team. It's one of our team members. So you're watching the TV, your mates have said, hey, dude, have you seen what's happening in name the country? Okay, there's something going down. Holy shit. Is it civil war? Is it country versus country? What is the situation? You know, is it third world? Is it first world? Is it for an ally? Is it with a situation we knew was going to occur? Is it due to a natural disaster? Is this going to be a help and assistance mission? Is this going to be a military intervention? Is it going to be a WAR conventional? Okay. We've got 10 trips we've been on in the last 100 years. More. Okay. There's going to be others in the future. So let's do one thing. Let's close the book on the last 100 years.
Yep.
And remember, no one knows what's coming next, but there's going to be more books put in the shelf. And you might be part of it. So, trouble erupts on BCNN. Okay. Straight away, normally the most junior soldiers are all, we're going. I know we're going. And guess what? We'll say that it starts to escalate, and then you hear the actual Prime Minister saying there's going to be some sort of representation from Australia with a multi-force organisation, MFO, with a United Nations contingent, that we're not going to let this happen. Right. So, bam, the government gets involved. Government gets involved. All of a sudden now you're thinking, and we're gearing this as infantry because infantry are always a spear point almost in every single mission, unless it's medical, and then they have to have us as well. When the Air Force is going to go in, they have to have infantry go in to secure it before the Aggies head in to hand over a secured area to the people that are there to also maintain the security. Okay, sorry, Simon. And then from there, what will occur is the government is involved. Now we know that someone is going. You know, and then all the people that are non-arms corps that are connected to, okay, the 2nd Battalion Task Force, or 6 RAR, or 8, 9, or 5 or 7, or 1 RAR, or 3, they're going, fingers crossed, is this our gig? Because we're there for the great adventure. So people aren't saying this is an opportunity to hurt. They're saying this is an opportunity to go overseas and be part of the making of history in a country that I didn't know existed before I got this phone call. So one of two things can happen. One, you get told actively that you need to come back now. Or you will get told when you return at the end of leave. Because it doesn't happen straight away. There's some things that need to occur unless it's a flash reaction to an action that needs intervention ahora, aquí, right now, here. Sorry for those that don't speak fluent Spanish like Kaz. Chorizo.
You didn't learn that from Dora.
So the government gets involved. Now you're starting to think, which one of us is going overseas? By now, the phone calls are going insane. Back and forth between people. Okay, What is also going to occur is you need to remember that you are cleared to secret. Every single one of you at the private level, which means not only can you hear this information that you can't spread with others while you're in your hometown, okay, but what it also means is that you are responsible with sensitive information, and if it leaks, you will be held accountable by the military judicial system. So you need to shut your goddamn trap.
You really do.
Yeah. You might remember, Lauren, when we went for Interfet, there was people that were kicked off the course and were charged for what they'd said to papers because their family members actually ran a newspaper.
Yep, exactly. There was also a dude who got kicked off because he told his missus and she was on the radio telling everybody.
It was a good way to get him off that trip.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's going to happen next? The government gets involved. Right. Then from there, what's likely to happen is duty officers will call people in, and a team will be put together by those in locality, and they'll start making phone calls with the next of kin register, and you'd better answer your phone, and chances are you've been waiting for this phone call anyway, and you will get told, you need to come back home ASAP, right now, cancel everything. You know, that happened for me for Somalia. I got called home. BCNN got called back home. He went over on operations. I got told, we've got a few too many. You're going to go on guard duty instead of surfing. Thank you very much. So what happens next, Kaz? We'll let you know now. Boom. There is a mission established, and it is established around a name, whether that be Unimir 1, whether that be Operation Tamar, whether that be Operation Anaconda.
Yep.
There will be something. Wait 2 seconds. We've got Nads. Can you please read that? I can't. My eyes.
Okay. Can you tell us about how you feel when you come back? The military-civilian divide is hard. Is it hard to settle back in? Do you feel entitled to things? That's a good question.
Not so cow for starters. Thank you very much for the shekels that keep the wheels on this going, and also the shoes on the hooves of Daz's cows. Can you just hold on a little bit longer till we get to that, because I don't want to jump ahead of the cart as we speak. But I will be addressing that in this stream because it's a very important question. I'm glad you asked. It means you're thinking about it, and it also means you're in the spot right now and you're taking on what I'm putting down. So, what are we talking about? The mission is established. If the mission is established, that also now means that the team is being established. There is monetary requirements. There is a kinetic capability requirement. There is a medical requirement. You know, it is who we're going to help. What sort of mission mandate is it? Is it going to say peacemaking, which means you can use your weapon to force people? You can have peacekeeping, where you go over there and, hey, between two peoples in neutral identity, normally with the United Nations.
Yep.
Okay, or you might be going somewhere, and it could be with the UN low level operations that can be 3-block war, can ramp up to something very serious and conventional, basically within the 1 or 2 blocks. Okay.
Exactly. They're all different, aren't they?
Every single one is different, and they are fluid, and it can move in between as things change.
Yeah. And different things happen. There's different situations that will affect how you come back.
Absolutely. There's a lot of support. When this goes out, there'll already be help groups for families starting to get DCO, starting to get ready for briefs for families.
Yep. If you're a family, I suggest you go to every single one that you can.
But also take your patience, because you'll be very upset at
there'll be a lot of ladies asking about pay, and you may not be interested in that. You might be worried about conditions.
And we'll get to that in a second, but the sad thing is, quite often the questions are, how much money do I get if he dies, rather than, is there a chance he might get hurt? You're going, shouldn't it be the other way around?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the mission is established. Who's going to be part of it? Is it going to be part of 3 Brigade? right? Is it going to be assets? How many battalions are going to go? As soon as I say there's more than one battalion going, you know it's a big goddamn deal. And we knew about that in Townsville. But the reason we don't send too many is we still need to defend domestically. We also need to be able to set up the fact that is there going to be conscription as a result of this? What do you mean, Kaz? Why would there be conscription? Because if we do not have enough people, and this is essential, if we do not have enough people to be able to create an operational tempo that allows Team 1 to go over, followed by Team 2, who is in training based on information coming back from intelligence corps, etc., that is feeding back and changing the way we train and adapt to what's coming next. If we don't have enough to do that, then we have to start looking at conscripting. Army Reserve first, followed by, others. Peter Mayfield. Sounds like a packet of durries. Welcome to the Bear of Coffee. Nutsu Cow. Get on that ramp. You're coming with us, Peter? Can we get some thumbs up? Peter's part of the forces now, which means we can take him with us. Thank you very much. And I will scoff that coffee if I don't give it to someone who's driving a car behind me, like the Patreon did for a lady today that looked over the moon, trying to swipe right, but I drove off, man.
Yeah. It wasn't about that.
That's it. We've got a cool cat here. Cool cat. Montero, everything's been extremely exciting from day one. Day one, looked ADF up my phone to the U session assessment and PFA. Guys and gals, get on the bat phone. I tell you, I just had an hour and a half conversation yesterday on the bat phone with one young fella who's fantastic, and I look forward to helping him out. And he was a smart kid, representing his family name very, very well.
Yeah, I've popped a link in there. Hey, Mr. James Collins is here again.
Hello, James.
It's been some time. It's always nice when you pop in.
If anyone knows fine detail, it's James Collins.
Exactly.
But before you give him any props, he was in one area. Yeah.
They deserve some.
Mucho respecto. Somalia veteran. We've got Joshy Fawns here. Is always here. We've got Eats here. Good to have you here, mate. We've got Jacko. There's always a Jacko.
Jacko's excited to be at a live stream.
It's good to have you here, Jacko.
Yes.
Yep. Angel, is it true that there are... Sorry?
2 PFAs, and the first one is practice.
Yeah, look, there can be 5 or 6, depending on how long between you actually go. Yep. Righto. Bam. Task force is established. This is what we're talking about. You're in 2RAR. Let's just say that they're sending 3 as well. 2RAR amphibious group as well as 3RAR. And they're sending 2RAR in role to be the lodgement force that is going to go on and do a sea area of entry, basically securing that for a second point of entry. And we're going to also seize an airfield, righto, before we swap that over to the Aggies. And we're going to have Simon Powell on the ground not long after we've secured that. Okay, we've got Montero. Welcome to the Great Unwashed. Then have a shower, sir. Nutsu Cow. Can we please get some thumbs up for the Spanish bullfighter? And let's just throw in a quick timeout for 2 seconds. Montero, a guy called Mateo, a Spanish gentleman, 27 years old, just won the World Series of Poker, $8 million, on top of the $21 million he's already won in live tournaments, which takes him up to $29 million just playing poker. For those that think it's gambling and not skill, he begs to differ. Right, Leo Wanker, stuntman for life. I'm a wanker for life, not so much the stuntman. Angel, thank you, Peter and Kaz. Angel, it's a beautiful name. I always think of paramedics when I see the word Angel.
It's a unisex name, though.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah. No. Yep. Just.
Yep.
We do misgender folk often.
So if a task force gets established and it's got 3RAR and it's got 2RAR, that means we're going to see 5 Aviation involved from Townsville. We're going to see the assets of the medical facilities. We're going to see the transport facilities. We're going to see RAMI facilities, MPs, engineers. Okay, we're going to take our clerks as well. We're going to have our legal officers. We're going to have dentists maybe. Whether the med cap goes or what their role is. And they might have to be able to liaise with other countries as well. So what happens when this task force gets established, Lauren?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you have no rank if you're not infantry. What happens, what I mean by that, I still do what you say, but there is, when it's something tactical on the ground at the start, we need no ego. We need subject matter experts that are all sitting around the table, but the tactical commander has to have the overall command. Okay, from there what will occur is he will surround himself with subject matter experts, and when it's to do with cavalry, he will speak to their head of cavalry and go, this is his bit. This is already been war gamed. Okay, the legal officer will come up and give his briefs. We're going to get to that in a moment. Okay, dental is required. You might have to get your wisdom teeth out. You won't, because then you can't go overseas if you do. There's going to be all these things where the heads of each department are going to put in their competencies and how they contribute to this mission, and when they're asked to speak as part of the SMEAC procedure, the orders per se. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Okay, a rehearsal. So what's going to happen is by now we're going to have death by briefs. You are going to have rehearsals on the MEL, which is the mission event list, which is going to be watched normally by CTC, Combat Training Centre, as a individual and independent arbitrator. Are your skills up to or below the standard? And they can step in and say to RAR, you are not up to standard to deploy at this stage due to the fixes, sustains and improves required, that maybe your commander is not up to scratch, and an officer can get and has been sacked, so there'll be rehearsals, and that will be of things that are likely to occur in that locality in accordance with the civilization that will be operating in our space. Whether it be right up here conventional, or whether it be right down here and peacekeeping. There will be medical situations. There will be encounters that you are likely to occur as part of your actions on, and see the way the common soldier, as well as the sergeant, as well as the lieutenant, as well as the commanding officer deal with those situations, and you will be reported on. It will have the combination of Air Force, Navy, and military, if required, working together seamlessly to get any of the cobwebs out of the way.
Yeah, I think folks need to remember deployments are a diplomatic thing.
Yes.
And how the deployment goes can affect international relations. So it is a very, very serious job.
Well, so much so that if we wear a uniform, and you can be shot if you step on there with a weapon without a uniform, because that's a spy. But if we go there and there's two things. We turn up there by uniform. If we are not invited, that is instantly classed as an act of war straight away. If you are not invited. If you are invited, then basically what happens is there's an agreement between them and us on what are the rules of engagement, what is acceptable, what is the level of engagement that we can have, who are the people that we are not allowed to help, who are the people we're not allowed to hurt, under what direction are we allowed to ramp up under our cards that will all carry our rules of engagement. You'll see yellow and red are indicators. Yellow used to mean low-level operations. Red used to mean conventional kinetic operations. But they were training cards. That's all they were. You'll always have cards.
And I think now's the time just to remind everyone that if you haven't seen Kaz's video about the Rwanda deployment, that perhaps you should go back and watch that.
Yep. That was less than a week ago. It's had nearly the least amount of views on the channel.
Learn a lot about one type of deployment if you go and watch that.
And that's a fantastic point. And this is where I'd like to put in there to Eats, to Montero, to Nicole King, to Dave D, to Bretty, to Nev, you don't get to agree with the rules of fucking engagement.
Yeah.
You were getting sent overseas, and this is why I hate politicians so much. Did you know that they are not mandated to take the vaccine, but we are?
Yeah, I don't understand it. That's like ridiculous.
Yeah, they should be the first ones.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what basically occurs is the rules of engagement we read out, and you'll straight away be going, what? Okay, fair cop. When you hear the rules of engagement, you'll know how full on your trip is going to be too. You know, because it might be very open or it might be very condensed. So you will get all of these gut feelings based on the rules of engagement, the legal briefs, you know, where you get. So your rules of engagement. Right, next one. Final O group and administration. Right, it's at this stage that people that have a medical restriction that may not be able to deploy will get culled, cut away, replaced. Well, actually, that would happen a little bit further back in the play when you're doing your rehearsals, etc. You can't come up with any administration that's not medical that is going to get you out of this trip. You are a paid government worker. Even if your discharge is in, they can rip it up and say, nope, you're going. You know, you are mission essential. We need you on that wall. So the final O group will be read out. Okay, final admin will get read out. What does that include, Kaz? Let's see if I've actually written it there. Okay, the final O group and admin, what that's going to be, we said it before, vaccines. You don't have a choice. You don't take a vaccine, you're going to get disciplinary action because now you're also giving restricted service in a time where you need to be deployed. You're going to be in the shit if you refuse to take it. Right. So you're going to take vaccines and they're going to be based on similar things to cholera, smallpox, all of these things, and you're going to want to take it, team. You could be going to a country that is an absolute enigma to what you're used to. You could be going to a country, you want to pat a dog, you better not pat a fucking dog. Because you might be going to a country like Somalia where they've got rabies. Okay, you might be going to a country where every animal is considered to be a threat biologically as well as a physical threat. The people...
You can only fight mosquitoes so far.
Yep, you're probably going to get malaria, and if you do overseas, you get charged. That becomes a disciplinary charge as well. Because if you have malaria, they're going to say then you haven't been taking the medication that you will and are forced to take. Normally that's doxycycline, which also gets rid of a lot of sexual transmitted diseases.
It'll get rid of anything. I'm pretty sure it's good for everything short of lost limbs.
It does. And it can cure some of those as well.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to get your pay squared away. This is where Nicole King will be shaking her head when she goes, how did these problems get here? You need to make sure that your rent, sometimes you're going to move all your shit out of your house, you know, and maybe not pay rent. You're going to do your will. That's a tough one. Yeah. That really makes some people go, this is real. When you're now sitting in a room filling out your will for where you're about to go. There's going to be, at the same time, family briefings where they come in and get briefed, you know, with you or without you there, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, and if your partner is going on deployment, it might be worth that if they want to leave you earlier rather than last minute to go and get their head in the game, it might be worth doing that.
Yep. Go home, go to mum's.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
You're going to need...
Get some support for yourself other than the DCO because you will need it. Because it's quite harrowing at home because you've got all the news bombarding you and very little information coming back. And really, you only want to know what you need to know.
That's it. And one of the biggest ones is phone times. The first thing we'll tell you is expect a phone call no more than 10 minutes each week.
Yep, and you won't know when it is.
You can't give phones to people back to back. Otherwise, you will take them through an emotional torture. You know, your family problems at home, they're not a problem. Leave him. Exactly. Don't bring him to the soldier. He's trying to survive.
Please don't. He doesn't need your little dramas.
And ladies, you don't have a choice. You know, or men, if you're at home and your female partner or your Ricky Martin equivalents overseas, you write him a goddamn letter. Because that's your only friend. When you have no phone, no electricity, you know, a letter from the platoon sergeant, right, is like a pizza on the piss. That's how good it is. Right, so we got a little bit stuck in the weeds there.
Yeah, we did. Sorry, that my fault.
That's all right. It's around now that your partners are also going to see the happiest people are always going to be the private soldier. Because all he's got to worry about is getting his pack ready, his webbing ready, sitting down, having a last coffee, maybe getting a last KFC into him, some Chinese, maybe telling that girl, I might not be coming back, baby. With I'm leaving on a jet plane playing in the background, hoping that she might have a last crack at his willy. But to the married guys, they have so much on their plate. It's unbelievable.
Or mummies, especially if they're parents.
Yeah, and you're going to see separation anxiety happening from the male to his own family, where he might not want to be near his kids. He might not want to be near her. He just wants to get the hell overseas and get on with the job right now, because he's going into shutdown because he has too much emotional concerns that need to be pushed away.
And let him do that. Let him do that. You know, be as organised as you can. If you can pin him down to read some bedtime stories and record them before he goes, all the better.
Yeah.
You know, but then give him a good goodbye and let him decide when it's time for him to go into that headspace.
And families will get told, the last time you will see your partner is on this date.
Yeah, but if he wants to go before then, they should let him.
Yes, and he may do that. He might do his goodbyes and say, I'm saying my goodbye. I don't want to do it in front of 1,000 other people.
Exactly.
I want to do it personal with you. I don't want people seeing me as a sergeant crying because my daughter misses me already and is crying and doesn't want to get pulled off me.
Yeah, exactly.
So those things are very important. You need to make sure that your finances are ready. You know, your partner doesn't need any money except what you'd normally get paid. Any allowances should not be going to them. No. You know, that gets, because they never had them before, they don't need them. And
you should be able to enjoy that when you get home.
That's right, together.
Yeah.
Make those plans together later. You know, Nicole King would know more than anyone here what it's like to see people that think, oh, no, she won't spend it, it'll be okay.
Oh, no.
I've seen guys come home to ladies who spent $60,000, have been with 20 other guys and engaged to someone else.
What about the landscaping lady?
I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know if that's just an urban myth, but it's a good moral tale.
It is a good one. The rumour is that a guy came home to find that his missus had actually paid to get an in-ground pool put into a married quarter that they were renting. Mm.
You know, it possibly isn't true because no one ever provides a name, but it started somewhere.
It did. Put allowances in a separate bank account, says Dave D. Absolutely.
Yeah,
good stuff, Josh. Montero or Josh, top-notch content tonight. Righto.
Hey, Ibrahim.
Who we got?
Ibrahim.
Hey, Ibrahim. How you going, mate? It's been a while. It's like a pleasure when you guys turn up and we haven't seen you for a while. Yeah.
It's really lovely when we see the names pop back in that we haven't caught for a little while.
Haven't caught. And team, if you haven't subscribed yet and you're sitting out as a lurker, we'd rather know who you are now. Come and join the family, join the team. You got two Australian YouTubers right here that are chatting to you.
That's true. You know, and we try to make it a good community. Like, we try to weed out the Muppets. So come and say g'day.
Oh, James Collins knows a mate who's had his wife paint the inside outside.
I knew that must have started from somewhere. No one just pulled that out of their bums.
Okay.
There's plenty of stories like that.
That's a dangerous but one, Nicole. I don't know if I agree with that one. After the second rotation of Timor, we told single guys to make their parents... Okay, they're single people, their parents next to kin.
Be aware that, parents don't let them have your pay either.
One of the sad things is, like, one of my favourite people who I always give props to is Benjamin Chuck.
Yep.
Now, he was with the girl of his dreams, the girl of his dreams, Tessa. But she was only his girlfriend or fiance when he got killed. If the parents don't get along, or you've got greedy parents, they might not identify who you loved, who you wanted to be forever. And sometimes people are with someone for 10 years. So just be careful.
Yeah.
Okay. So the final O groups, admin, that's where all of a sudden shit starts to come out. Don't do what I did and have one of my soldiers where they said, if the guys want to go and have a couple of drinks tonight because we've been delayed, they can go and do that. And this one soldier, I said to him, mate, I don't know. You can't be trusted the best at times.
Yeah.
But I had a pretty girl who was trying to start a fire with my little fella, using friction. And I said, okay, mate, just go. There's only a few hours later, there's a knock on my window. And he goes, Kaz. I've got, what, mate? What? It's my last day in humanity. Why are you annoying me? He goes, I bashed the boss. And I went, what? The platoon commander went out as well, shouldn't have gone out, made a dick of himself and got bashed by the soldiers. So I turned up to investigations, platoon commanders with black eyes. It was...
Him, really.
Yeah. Anyway.
We're doing it again. We've gotten off track.
Rules of engagement, yep, that's been done. Deployment, yep. Order of march.
There's a lot of admin, isn't there? There's a lot of admin, because if you don't live in lines and you have a private rental with, say, some of your mates, and some of you are being deployed and some aren't, you're going to have to sort out all that admin too before you go.
And this is why I say get your first posting to Townsville. Because in Townsville, all the rental real estate agents, they know the deal up there.
Exactly.
Do your first time in Townsville, then you'll know what to do when you get to your next area.
Exactly. And there'll be always someone else who'll move in and pick up your lease also.
That's true. Swamp Wallaby. G'day, bro. Okay.
Simon, I think he went over whether it's red or yellow. There's two different...
Red and yellow, they're not real cards. Red and yellow are training cards that you get, that you use on exercises back in Australia. When you go actually on deployments, you will get either blue cards, yellow cards, whatever it is that's high visibility, because you can also use them as RV, where you might hold that up in location, that becomes your rendezvous card when the rest of you is covered in dirt and filth and cam and weapons. You might hold that up in front of you as you do marry up, so they can see that card in the centre of scene mass and know that is a friendly force. And that'll be rehearsed. The Order of March comes out now, Lauren.
Okay, what does that mean?
The Order of March, where this works out and where it's pretty important, you're all in 2RA, yeah? Let's think of East Timor, 1999. There was a few SAS guys on the ground, sure, but the main force on the ground was 2RA, Alpha Company, 2 platoon, CAS. So we were the very first people to hit the ground. Right. They're the first guys that are likely to get blown away. So when the whole battalion of 1,000 men is sitting there with 65 kilogram packs, the reason why women should never go to infantry, and you've got the weapons, you've got grenades, you've got claymores, you've got mortar rounds, you've got 800 rounds to 1,000 to 1,200 rounds per gun, you've got gas masks, you've got gas grenades, okay, you've got 72s, light anti-armor weapon systems, you've got javelins, you've got sniper rifles, you've got everything in the middle of Townsville. The people don't know that driving past that you are an arsenal just sitting there. And then from there, what they come out and they start to read out the chalks. And the chalks will be who are the first to go? Who are the first to land? What is the order of march? And you need to know that. And that tells you, oh God, you might be a day later than the first guys to hit the ground.
Yep.
But when you find out that you were the first rotation, the first guys to hit the ground like Unimir 1, okay, to make it into the massacre scene of Kigali in Rwanda, you know you're going to be the one that has the most chaos occur around you. So the order of march will be sorted out, the groupings and tasks, the questions, etc., and the reality of the moment will set in, and the brevity and the conversations, and all of a sudden, all of the friendships will be banter, will go tight. Now it's you and your section, you and your platoon. That's when the Al Pacino speeches are going to happen. If you get shot, You're not going to feel it. It's probably going to burn. There'll be someone there behind you. You're not to help your buddy. You're to make it out, get the sectors of fire squared away, return fire, do whatever.
This is where your drills become important, right?
That's right.
Practice that you've been annoyed about. I remember before you guys went to Timor, it was like you were endlessly out bush. Just doing these drills. Everyone was sick of it. But boy, when it came to the crunch, that's what those drills are for.
And you know what they're there for? The reason why soldiers, conservative people normally don't get along with lefties? Because everything we get trained to do is to cut the emotion out. You've been told everything. You've been told who's the bad guy, what's the likely actions on, what are your reactions to this, that, or the other. Mechanical. Because if you don't, that's when you start to think like a human instead of like a robot when you first hit the ground. And if you think of emotion, you could start to panic. You could have an adrenaline dump. You might choose freeze or flight while everyone else is choosing fight. You don't want to be that.
That drill will have been weeded out, but you might be a new guy in the battalion, right, and still get deployed.
But they'd still have to do all of the training.
Right, you see, so you will have gotten...
You'll be prepared.
You'll be all right before you go.
Yep. So, last of all, the rest is history. You're physically making, living, carrying out history. There's not a person on earth that knows what you're about to go through. And the Rashomon effect means that Dave, Carl, Lauren, Montero, Swamp, Brady Cars, and Lucasfilms.
Yep.
Okay, and last of all, Alex Baldwin. All hit the ground together. And every one of you is going to have common recollections, but there's also going to be individual recollections that are separate to each other, and you don't know how long you're going for unless you're the second rotation, and that might mean, it's 6 months, it might be 8 months, it might be 1 year, to try and keep the fragility of our mindset from losing our brains and losing our minds in foreign countries in a rule of engagement you do not agree with against a people you may or may not like.
Yeah, it's actually not your job to agree or disagree with the politics.
No. But you can agree that politicians will never say sorry and mean it.
Never.
And they'll never take your place, and they normally won't let their kids stand beside you.
Yep, exactly.
So that is the operational tempo from start to finish to deployment. What happens when you get home? Okay, what we were asking about before, you'll come home in different batches as well. When you go overseas, you normally have to be there for at least 6 months. If you were there for 6 months and you're on the manifest that you're going there for 6 months, what'll occur is you'll normally be granted ROCL, okay, which is a leave block, but you won't know when you're coming home. You'll get told somewhere when you get over there, almost straight away for some people. You might go to ROCL. You might be going in the last month and a half. Marriedies get them home early to see their families, but be careful because you also had the Canadian tour that lost a whole, it wasn't Canada, it was America, lost a whole contingent of married men and women, soldiers that were coming home for Christmas that crashed into the ocean. Lost them all. Lest we forget. It's a big deal, and there's a lot of moving parts, and it's not a joke. It's a real deal. I'm lucky. I've been on 4 trips, and they weren't 4 trips to Afghanistan. Okay, I had 4 completely separate trips
and
to
each
3
one different.
Every one completely different. And I went in every rank. That means I have a different perspective of each operational trip, what went wrong, what was good, what I'd do again, what I definitely wouldn't, and how I could make it better for my soldiers or, in fact, for you. That's another reason why we need to respect our military. Do not judge them. Don't talk about supremacy and white supremacy and all. You're going, who gives a shit what people think? You won't see racism in the army. And if you do, it probably goes both ways anyway.
Yeah.
You know, there's bigger fish to fry, and that is getting home alive.
Exactly.
Yep.
Especially when to the infantry, you're all very, very goal oriented.
And when we're infantry, we don't have time to think about the people behind us.
No, exactly. And nor should you.
We're not going to start shit with you either.
Yep.
But if an infantry soldier comes up to you and you've got a can of Coke and you haven't opened it, how about you? And we'll use Simon, for example. Yep. If you're a Raffy, hand it over. Give it to the soldier. You know, you can get another one. We can't.
Yeah, someone in the rear echelon, just do that. Yep. That's, because they don't have those little luxuries.
Yep. We didn't eat proper food for over a month the first time, and we didn't shower for more than 3 weeks.
Yeah,
but we were strolling through areas where Air Force had a can of Coke in the first 48 hours.
Yep.
And we were going, dude, can we have one? Nah, there's not enough for you. You go,
I had soldiers I'd never met before writing to me saying, can you please bring it up at the next DCO thing when we're going to not have to wash out of a bucket? And so those were things I'm trying to get questions in like that from people out there being deployed when I've got all these other ladies worried about pay issues.
Yeah. And when you know that you're in a routine when you can start to ask how much money's in my bank account.
Yeah.
Okay. And can you send me a letter or can you send me something? You don't have any room to carry anything else. The things that you miss the most is toothpaste, socks, and boxer shorts. You don't wear jocks. Okay, and writing paper and batteries. They're the big ticket items. And when in doubt, like the cabin boy said, I could do with a salami right now.
I always sent salami, and I always sent more than one so that they could share. Because you guys came up with some great recipes with those salamis.
Oh, I had some today.
People made pizzas and everything. Ration pack recipes are great.
There's Fugly. G'day, Western Australia. How you going?
Hi, Fugly.
Mm.
He's putting up his Christmas lights. It's 33 days till Christmas, folks.
Fantastic. Jaffles go to the Cav. They're great at those. Do Army helicopter pilots get deployed? They do, mate. They're like, what would you call it? They're like, it's probably why Prince Harry went there. Like prima donnas, mate. I can only do 8. I need 8 hours sleep. My ice cold milk. I think I'm lacto intolerant. But I tell you what, I love seeing them turn up.
Yeah, salami's good to send because it's pretty forgiving in the post, and also lollies. I used to send lollies.
Lollies are great because the sugar hit.
I used to put little post-it notes on it too. Send some love as well. That's important.
It is. Hey, we've got Alex has just joined the Great Unwashed. Not too cow, he says, mate. Alex is one of our Patreon members too. I believe. Great to have him here. Mate, can we get some thumbs up for young Alex who's joined us here? Can't do Christmas lights before December. Oh, okay. Okay, you got to have something up because when you have something up, what it does, it shows, and I'm not saying before December, I'll do what you say here. When you've got something up, what that does is it becomes Christmas cheer and the neighbours will get the memo and then all of a sudden it becomes a friendly street. You don't want your kids walking down a street where there's no Christmas lights. You go, you goddamn heathens. It just doesn't feel nice. It feels like there's no love in the street. Carl says, where has the year gone? Yeah, man. It feels like a month ago, Lauren, that we did the marathon stream for New Year's. What? Was it New Year's?
Simon. I've been around years.
Prima donnas are Air Force aircraft maintenance crew. Shocking the rules they work by. I haven't really been around them.
I imagine there'd be a few prima donnas in the RAF.
I moved to
guess
Derby,
everywhere.
West Australia. If I was to get my assessment session, I think I will have to fly to Perth to do it. That'd be good. It'd be a good little adventure.
They sort that all out for you, though.
Yeah, yeah. It'll all be sorted out. Guys and gals, it is the great adventure when you go overseas. You come back a different person.
And
You know,
it's not
but
always negative.
well, you know what? You come back a different person if you go to Europe for a month.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not
Yeah.
always negative. It's not everybody who gets deployed comes back with PTSD and things like that. You must remember that it's actually still a minority of people who have negative effects from
Yep.
deployment and service.
Yep, I've done 4 trips, and there was only
Yep.
one moment that went for a week that gave me
Yeah,
my
and it
my
was
problems.
Yeah, exactly. And it was hellish, and we know mistakes were made, not by you guys, but there was definite mistakes made that I hope we never repeat.
Is the 53rd Battalion still around? No, mate, no. When the battalions, when they became the Royal Australian Regiment, etc., regular battalions, they took over all our old battalions. The Army Reserve retain a lot of the regiments, etc., 2nd, 17th, etc. But no, I don't know much about the 53rd. I'm sure that it's got a fantastic background. Pass the bloody salt and pepper.
Mr. B's still here.
He is. Is that in here? Hey, Fiona, how you going, mate? Angel, hey, Kaz, did you more friends during your military life or civilian life? Did you make friends? Mate,
I guess you make more friends.
So many. If you've been in the military, that's one of the hardest things. It is, Dave. Tomorrow is the regiment's birthday. The friends that you make in the military are different to your civilian friends. And civilians should always remember you can't compete with army friends. You just can't, because you're different sort of people. Not better, not worse, just different. You know, sometimes you'll have friends that want to come out, you know, and sometimes it's a cruel thing to do too, especially when they're younger, when they've got a bunch of military mates with them, and then they take their civilian mates out with them and then wonder why they don't gel, because you're going to feel more drawn to go to your army mates while you're protecting the emotions of your civilian mates. They're thinking, what are we doing wrong? It's like these guys don't accept us. They go, and they're different people. They're just different people all in one place. Not better, not worse, just different.
Yeah, and James Collins makes a really good point. He said the best thing about serving, especially grunts, and I have to stress that, especially grunts, you guys have this beautiful bond that is just so lovely.
It is. It is. It's I
haven't seen it anywhere else. It's rare.
It is rare, and that's because we get forced in the military, whether it be one conversation at a time, to sit in the rain together, to speak about people's families, you know, to to treat each one of your mates like an uncle to your child.
Yeah, well, I know that my letters got passed around to everyone, you know, so everyone gets to know everyone on a whole different level.
That's true. That's true.
Good night, Mr. P.
Mr. P, all the best, mate. I hope you feel better, Cobber.
Yeah.
We're about to get out of here as well. We're about to hit the hour. I hope you have taken something out tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. I think that is a fantastic banner that I've put deliberately behind this soldier here to represent the RIA. And that is, can you read it out, please, Lauren?
Hurt me with the truth, but never comfort me with a lie.
Yeah. Yep. We can get told that we're going to be in the shit. You know, you can get told, don't be so emotional when something really bad has happened. You've got a job to do. You know, we can take getting told you're going to be walking all night. You know, you're going to be carrying 65 kilo packs. You're not coming home for 6 months, 8 months. What we can't handle is shifting goalposts. What we can't handle is a double standard. And soldiers will never forgive if you take something away from them. Never take something away from a soldier unless he's deserved to lose it. You know, tell them what the punishments are for different infractions before you go overseas rather than making it up as they fuck up. I'll give you an example. Fantastic soldier of mine, great guy, can piss you off the best of times, fell asleep on picket. He fell asleep on operations. That is equivalent to leaving the front door open, okay, when you live in Detroit. It ain't good. He got caught by the platoon commander. As much as I love this kid, I could not defend him when they said, mate, you're going home. And they sent him home for 2 weeks to go to jail, for falling asleep, despite the fact that he was doing 18-hour days, with broken sleep in between, no fresh food. Went to sleep, got caught in the middle of a picket change on the machine gun, the front door to our platoon security. He got sent home for 2 weeks to go to jail, and fined probably about $3,000. And then he came back, and I said, Aussie banter, I said to him, mate, did you learn your lesson? He goes, it was awesome.
Oh my God.
He goes, air conditioned. I was drinking cordial in the jail. It was great. And I went, you can't beat that sense of humour. Well, let's get out of here. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the sesterces, and also for listening.
Yeah, thank you for the subject, because it was a good subject that I think a lot of folks were interested in.
It is a good one. And you know what? Although it's fantastic, be very careful what you wish for, because I believe that Australia has had a real lucky run so far, and it can get a lot worse. Yep.
Yeah, indeed. And also, here's the thing. I just want to say, with the deployments and that, you might think you know where it'll be to just by watching the political arena. You're never going to guess where it could be.
I can tell you where it's not going to be. It won't be the Middle East.
Yep, exactly.
So, if any soldiers are watching, get out of Afghanistan mindset. You're not going back there. You're going somewhere else. Reset, re-bomb up, and be ready. That's what I'll say. All right, team. Lest we forget, and thank you to all of those that are serving, are going to serve in advance. You got 100 points until you prove you haven't. Good luck for the birthday. Is it the regiment's birthday tomorrow? Judy First from James Collins there, who helps injured soldiers all the time.
He really does. He does so much good work for the veteran community. Indeed, I would love him one day to drop a link to his things in the chat.
Absolutely, and if you ever felt like jumping on here, mate, and we have a conversation on how we can help soldiers, etc. I don't know if you're up for that, mate, but I would love nothing better than to have you on here and have a candid conversation.
Great. Everyone could really do with picking his brains.
Sup? Especially those that love kuru, which is a fatal disease that you get for eating human brains.
Spelled Yaakov for you.
Got to make it about yourself, Jocko, doesn't he, Jacko? the member for 10 months. Enjoy your night, everyone. Great unwashed. You scurvy bastard. Can we get some thumbs up, and that'll be a see us later, Jacko, right on the try line, the buzz of the whistle, get on the plane, manifests are done, lest we forget, and I hope you get back soon.
Yeah.